There's a good chance you've heard of Morrowind before. It was announced years ago, and it's the third installment in Bethesda's well-known Elder Scrolls series. Like Arena and Daggerfall before it, Morrowind is a huge game. It's an open-ended game that lets you explore a big 3D world pretty much in any direction and in any way you want as any number of different types of characters. Morrowind also looks really impressive for the most part, and on top of being this big open-ended game, it's also got a lot of replay value to it. At the same time, with its open-endedness does come a few different kinds of problems. A lot of them are things that you could just nitpick about. They're not very serious in their own right, but you will find that some of the individual elements in Morrowind, of which there are very, very many, aren't quite as well developed as some of the others. So while not every single aspect of Morrowind is spectacular, a lot of it really is very exciting and very interesting, and it certainly promises to take up a lot of your time, if nothing else. One of the first really broad choices that Morrowind presents to you is in asking you to create a particular kind of character. You could play as any number of different types of characters in the game. There are a number of different character classes you could choose from, things like barbarians and sorcerers and spell swords and scouts and assassins, but you'll find that these are actually just templates for what's actually the game's skill system. The game's got about 30 different skills in it which fall under one of three different types of categories, either combat or magic or stealth. The game actually gives you the option to create your very own character class by choosing your proficiency and then choosing your major skills and so forth. And I think that most players are going to go this route because it's the most interesting. You can create whatever kind of character you want. For example, I called my character a sword saint. I gave her the ability to use swords and heavy armor really well. And I also gave her some basic magic skills for healing and some basic combat spells. And also some speech skills so that she could bribe people or intimidate them and so forth. So there's a lot of possibility with the character generation system, and that's one of the incentives for replaying the game. There are certainly different ways that you could play through Morrowind, either by using brute force or kind of subterfuge, unlocking a lot of doors and bribing people and stuff like that, and also by using a lot of magic. You'll probably find, though, that you use skills in every single category. You'd have to go out of your way to play a character who only relies on combat or magic or stealth. That's because a lot of the skills in the game are very basic. For example, if you jump, you're actually using your acrobatics skill, which is a stealth skill. Or if you run, that's you using the athletics skill. Arena and Daggerfall were certainly big open-ended games, but they were sometimes criticized just for making the player feel bewildered. You just started off in this huge world and didn't really know what to do. Morrowind does a better job of giving you your bearings right from the start. You're given a basic assignment to get to a certain town and give a certain character a certain item. That starts you off on the main story branch of the game, which will send you all across this big province called Morrowind, and along that way you can take on who knows how many different kinds of side quests for all kinds of different factions. Aside from questing, you could just wander around if you want. You could walk wherever across the whole world. It would take you hours, but you could do it. You'll find various dungeons that you could go into that really have no bearing on the plot or anything like that, but you could go in them and try to kill some bad guys and get some loot. The combat in Morrowind is actually a little bit disappointing. You just sort of hack and slash at your foe until it goes down. The game gives you absolutely no indication as to how much damage you're doing with each swing, how much health your enemy has, and so forth. Some of the other individual aspects of Morrowind are a bit disappointing along those same lines. My least favorite is probably the way the game treats trap disarming, either on doors or on treasure chests. You know right off the bat whether or not a door or a chest is trapped. It'll tell you right on the screen that it's trapped, and then you basically use things called probes over and over until you disarm the trap, and there's no chance of the trap blowing up in your face. So basically traps are treated just like locks. It's really kind of pointless. I could probably go on for hours nitpicking, but that's just the nature of the game. It's a huge game, and needless to say, some aspects of it are going to be better than others. It's more important to mention that you really can do anything. You can go anywhere, you can talk to anybody, you could try to kill anybody if you wanted to, you could steal anything if you're a thief, and it all looks really great. at least if you have a system that can run it well. Morrowind does require a fast system and especially a fast graphics card, but if you have them, then you'll almost certainly be impressed. Some aspects of the game don't look quite as good as others. Some of the characters look kind of funky. The animation doesn't look that great, but there's a tremendous amount of detail in the world. The textures are just really nicely colored. Probably the best aspect of the graphics is just how the various environments look. There's just a lot of variety to the different types of areas you'll see, the different towns you'll explore. You'll find like a town made of like giant seashells that's covered, and the whole town is being kind of assaulted by this dust storm. You'll also find some more traditional looking stuff like Victorian houses, but they all look really great. And the game has some really impressive weather effects and lighting effects in general. On the other hand, the sound really isn't very good. The soundtrack, the composition is outstanding. It's by Jeremy Soule, who's a pretty famous game music composer, but the soundtrack seems like it's about 5 minutes long. It just loops over and over, and considering it's a big, long game, you'll wish there was just a much longer soundtrack. The sound effects themselves are pretty generic. If you've played a lot of other role-playing games, you'll probably have heard them before. The game obviously has a lot of replay value to it, all the more so because it comes with a construction set that players can use to create entirely new quests or entirely new areas, new items, and all kinds of stuff like that. It should really give Morrowind a lot of longevity. On the other hand, it is a single-player only game, so it can get a little lonely sometimes playing the game as you're just kind of wandering around. But that's really part of the design, and it's kind of a classical design. And I think that's an important point, actually. For all Morrowind's really fantastic looks, it's really a traditional computer role-playing game at heart, one that if you've been playing role-playing games for a while, you'll be familiar with. But that's really a good thing. If you like role-playing games, then you'll know what you're getting into with Morrowind. It's this big, huge game that's going to take up a lot of your time before you're done with it. It's a great value for your gaming dollar. It could last you for a long time if you only decide to play it once, and it could last you for a very, very long time if you decide to, download user-created add-ons and play through the quest multiple times and try to see everything. It's not hard to look past the various shortcomings that it does have and really just appreciate this big, huge game for what it is and just let yourself get lost in this big, great-looking world. So if you're into role-playing games, you should certainly check the game out.